Hello, St. Paul's artists. Once you have set up your color wheel and taken your notes like we did last class period, now you're ready to paint. And so you need to have these objects out on your table with your sketchbook. You need to have your paint palette, any paint brushes that you have. You should have 2 in your bag plus the 1 from the paint palette, your water cup with just a little bit of water. You can see it's like barely full. You don't need much. And I like to keep all this on a paper towel in case I spill my water cup, but also to dry my brush off with. So we're gonna get started painting. I'm gonna start with the first color on our color wheel, red. And we're not just gonna paint the hue, remember our fancy word for color. We're not just gonna paint the hue, we're gonna paint a tint and a shade of each hue on our color wheel. And remember, we're just doing primary colors. So I'm getting my brush wet and I'm getting my paint wet. It's gonna take a little bit extra because it's the first time we're using it. And I want you to put the pure hue right here in the middle section of the pie for red, right? Our pie slice for red. And I'm gonna take my time and make sure I'm painting in nice and neat. And we're gonna try to get a nice opaque, which is the opposite of transparent, a nice opaque, solid color of red, like so. I think I need a little bit more of the pigment or the hue on here so it's a nice solid red. All right, I might let that dry just a little bit and come back and add some more because I think it could be a richer color. To create the tint of red, we don't have white on our watercolor palette. Instead, we're gonna add water to the color. So what I like to do is get my brush real wet, and I'm gonna use the lid of my palette to put some of the paint out here, and then I'm gonna add just water to it, thinning it out so that we can get a tint or almost create pink, right? Because red plus white is the tint of red, which we call pink. And we're gonna come up here and add the tint out here. And if I get little pools of color, I like to spread them out and do a tint of red. So what's cool about doing these watercolor color wheels is you get to practice creating different colors that you might want to use in our final project, which we're going to create a still life using watercolor at the end of this unit. Just like we did a portrait at the end of our drawing unit, we'll create a still life at the end of our painting unit. So now I've got a tint and the hue, so the last thing I need to create is a shade in this pie section of red. And to create a shade, I'm gonna add some more color out here with the red. Some more of this red out here. I'm gonna rinse my brush off. I'm gonna get some black. We're gonna add black to the color, right? A shade is a color plus black. And I'm gonna mix that in to the red to create that shade. It's gonna kind of create kind of a maroon color. Oh, looks almost kind of purpley. We'll come in here and create the shade of red. It's cool to see all the colors you can make using just our simple watercolor palette. And I'm taking my time because this watercolors kind of tend to pool up. I want to spread it out, go nice and neat. I actually think I would have started with a smaller brush now that I've done this, and maybe you want to use a smaller brush when you go to paint. All right. I'm going to rinse my brush off, dry it on my paper towel. I think I want to come back with just some of that red and make this a little bit richer in color now that it dried a little bit. Like so. And now I'm going to do the yellow and the blue as well, taking my time, going nice and neat. And when I'm all done, we'll take a picture of it and submit it to today's assignment. And we're going to leave our sketchbooks out to dry for a little bit before we put them away. All right, I'm going to start a new video where I time-lapse doing the yellow and the blue so you can watch that too. Let me come back and add some more in. All right.